Huntsville, Alabama. You know we've got space camp and rockets and government contractors, but did you know we have one kick-ass music scene that doesn't get near enough attention? Well, that's about to change. Welcome to Uprising, a podcast about the people that make Huntsville's music scene so cool. Hosted by me, Bill Fowler, Huntsville native and lifelong musician. So strap on that guitar, flip on that amp, and crank it all the way up. You've just joined the Uprising. Welcome to Uprising, Maiah.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in Huntsville. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being at Yellowhammer. Although you just got in the car, I drove you.
Yes.
Wherever I wanted you to go.
That's right.
And there were a lot of options here. I was trying to think of like where would be a cool place to have food. It would be a reasonably quiet environment. Mm-hmm. And would be, local and Huntsville centric and all that stuff, and then not too terribly far away. And Yellowhammer, thank you, Ethan, for on the fly giving me a place to interview Maiah. Maiah, you are from Portland, Oregon.
Yes.
And the reason why you are here is because you won the Music from the Moon songwriting contest that my boys Alan and John put on with Listen Local. And
yes.
Tonight, it's really sad that by the time this podcast actually gets published, this will already have happened.
Oh, okay.
So I can say, hey, come down and see Maiah play, but it's too late, so it's all over.
Yeah.
We'll talk about how people can see your music or hear your music later on. But for now, again, thank you so much for being here. This is huge for me. You're like a superstar. No offense to everybody I've talked to, but a bunch of schlubs from around here. And then Maiah is like this international, not yet, but you will be soon. So in the car ride on the way to get you, I was with my daughter, and we were, I said, you need to go look at this this Maiah person, because I'm going to get an interview. I'm always trying to impress my children. Mm-hmm. And she saw you did a cover of a Billie Eilish song with some other folks.
Yeah, two of my friends from Portland who are also musicians. They're in a hard rock band, and they're awesome. Instant
popularity with the 13-year-old girls of Huntsville,
yes.
Alabama, which is actually quite difficult to do.
It is.
But I digress. Maiah, again, this is amazing to have you here. I mean, it's amazing for Huntsville to have you. How did you get here? I mean, how did you find out about the contest, first of all?
So I found out about the contest on Facebook through an advertisement almost as soon as it started. Mm-hmm. I think Facebook knows I like contests. I've entered a lot of them. So as soon as there's a contest and they're advertising for it, they target me. And I get most of my advertisements are for
all kinds of contests? Like
camera, film contests, writing contests, music contests.
You're a contest enterer.
I am. I don't enter most of them, but I have a hard time saying no to a good contest.
So you're competitive?
I'm not. I mean, I am, but I'm not. I think I was very competitive when I was younger.
Yeah.
I did a lot of sports. I did every sport possible, and my mom is very much like a runner, and she's like the really excessively cheery mom on the sideline. It's like, pass that next ball. You got this.
That's really intense.
Super intense. Mm-hmm. She's super into running. I did like half marathons by the time I was 13.
Wow.
I think I did like 8 of them.
Yeah.
I don't do them anymore.
Right. Well, they're hard. They're really hard.
After I graduated high school, I was like, I'm just gonna be done with this for a while. So I guess that's translated to music competitions. But I actually don't feel I've retrained myself to not feel so competitive anymore. Because it's really unhealthy. It's really not a good thing.
You focus on winning and not the product, right?
Right. Well, I've actually shifted that focus to trying to make friends in competitions. And that's actually how I met those two girls in the Billie Eilish video. It was through a different competition.
Yeah.
They've become some of my closest friends now, and they're just super amazing people. But I think I just still have a hard time saying no to a contest.
Well, I'm glad you had a hard time saying no to this, because, I mean, your song is tremendous, and obviously you did a great job because you won, and here you are. The Music from the Moon, if someone is watching this and isn't aware of the Music for the Moon project concept in general, just a quick overview is that Listen Local, Alan and John had a connection with NASA, who had yada, yada, yada wood that had been seeds that had gone to out in space, came back down here, they plant the trees are planted all over the country. Again, yada, yada, yada. Wood gets sent to Martin Guitars, and Martin creates the guitar. Mm-hmm. And Listen Local creates a songwriting competition around this whole concept and the 50th anniversary of the Apollo mission. And you enter the contest. You write a song about. I mean, the instructions were pretty general, right? Like you're writing a song about.
I think the only rule was that it had to be about the moon in some way.
Yeah.
But they also explained the context of the competition, which was to celebrate the Apollo 11 moon landing, space exploration, and some of the judging criteria included, how relevant is it to space exploration, how on topic is the song, how relevant is it in today's society, how much potential does it have to be popular right now.
Right.
There's a lot of different parameters that they had for the judges and for their first round of judging. So I took all of that into consideration when I wrote the song.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything that really fit already, so I knew that if I was going to enter it, I needed to write a song.
Yeah.
And I put it off for a long time. I didn't really know where I was going to go with it, and I knew that I needed to I had planned the night that I had planned to watch all these documentaries on the Apollo 11 landing. I just sat down before I had even watched anything, and I wrote the song.
Wow.
I think it was just.
Yeah. Is that how? So, okay, I'm going to go off on my first tangent. There will be many. Is that your process? Do you find that you have to construct a song over time, or do you 9 times out of 10 you sit down and it just kind of flows out of you?
9 times out of 10, it's just a very flowing process. The times where it's not, I have to write something specific for a project. And there's usually some back and forth between, if I'm writing for a film and there's a director and they have a specific idea of what they want, those usually take me longer because it's less of a natural process and more of okay, here's all the puzzle pieces and I have to somehow make them all fit together.
It's a job, it's a task.
Right. Mm-hmm. But most of the time it all just kind of flows. Sometimes I only get half a song out and then I delay finishing the song for a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my other process.
Right. And so, and this is the age-old thing. I have written songs before, and a lot of times the melody will sometimes dictate the lyrics. In this case, the lyrics were kind of dictated to you. You knew what the subject was going to be.
Right.
This wasn't like a love song, or maybe it was in a way. But so you start out with a topic. Was it more difficult to start out with something that was predefined for you?
It definitely made me wait a lot longer to write the song. Because I think I had to think about it, even subconsciously maybe, because I didn't necessarily sit down and really think about what I wanted to write. I had an idea, and then as soon as I had one idea that really inspired me, which was to include young girls who maybe want to be scientists, who want to be astronauts right now, because that inspires me, and it's something that as soon as there's something in it that I can really attach myself to, it's easy for me to write about because I'm passionate about it. And that was the first thread for me that really got me into this idea for the song, was wanting to inspire and recognize young female scientists.
So you're not writing a song about the moon. I mean, you did, but you're also writing a song about your own experience through that subject matter, which I think is probably one of the things that makes the song effective, is that it's personal. You're not just writing, hey, the moon is pretty. That's just not the thing. You're writing something that has a very personal feel to it.
Yeah.
So you're in Portland. You're entering just dozens of contests apparently. This comes across. You write this song, but this is not you're not operating in a vacuum here. I mean, you are an active professional musician. Explain what your overall career is like. What's your typical?
My typical. So that the day in the life of me usually is I'm working on a lot of collaborations right now, and I have about 7 different goals that I'm trying to reach to finish projects that I'm working on. So depending on deadlines and what I have to prioritize, I'll schedule my week in. Okay, so I have to get this project done. I have to finish this part of this project and email this person by this day, and that's kind of how I schedule my week. Whether it's recording vocals for this collaboration with this person, or getting a certain amount of my own song done for my album, or doing shows around town, traveling for certain shows. We travel a lot for shows in Seattle, around the Northwest, and then occasionally big things like this. I've had a lot of big things just in the past couple weeks happen, including this, and I had a surprise audition for television series in New York, which was crazy for me. It was the biggest audition I ever had, and it was like, okay, they emailed and they asked if I could be in New York the next day, and it was something I couldn't say no to, because it's just the potential. And it was a great experience, and my first time in New York, and it's been a crazy few weeks, but my schedule is usually, I come up with a plan and then that plan is completely destroyed by the end of the week.
Sure.
And rebuilt like 3 times.
So do you gig in Portland? Are you doing shows, or is it more of a writing thing for you?
Both. I definitely really enjoy doing shows. I do a lot of like So Far Sounds, intimate house shows with listening crowds, or I will sometimes do festival shows. It really just depends on what I'm able to book, and the main thing for me is that people are there and they're listening. I usually tailor my show to the event, whether if it's like a intimate house show, I'll do more solo stuff, and if I'm playing a bigger stage, I'll do more upbeat songs with a full band, and it just depends on where I'm going and why.
Okay, so all these things are on the menu of options for you. So if someone wanted to like book you or hire you or whatever, writing is part of this, performing is part of this, obviously, but the TV thing is part of this. So, okay, that's amazing. I want to pick one thing that I know about you out. And then you explain to me kind of how this came. I've heard Alex Lifeson's name mentioned here recently, and if you have a head on your shoulders and you're my age, he's a god to you. So the guitar player for Rush, Mom, just to let you know who that is. And Rush is a band, Mom from Canada. They're really popular. Anyway, she's like the only person that watches this podcast, so I have to like sometimes kind of explain stuff. So explain to me how that happened.
So it's a crazy story. It actually started with a competition. I won a different competition in 2016. It was it was the first year they did it, and I heard about it through a friend who was working on sort of a commercial campaign for this competition. And there's a lot of fake ones out there that are just there to try to get money. You pay to enter, and then you never hear back because it's just a bunch of it's a scam. And there's a lot of those out there. So I've definitely learned my lesson with those. But this one, whenever there's some sort of actual personal connection, like a friend's working on it, they can vouch that it's real. A lot of times, if it's a competition in its first year, that's always a good sign too, because it's people are trying harder to really make sure it's a legit thing. And so I entered it. It's called Claim to Fame. I kind of forgot about it, and then months later, I got a call that I won the cover song competition for my cover of Creep, which was crazy and amazing. And they got me to LA. I had some mentorship sessions with different industry pros there, like people that worked on American Idol, like vocal coaches and industry people, and that was just an amazing experience. And one of my prizes was a mentorship through Skype with Andy Curran, who works at Olay. It's a company based in Canada, and he also worked with Rush for many, many years. And he's really good friends with Alex. And he was just incredibly kind. And of course, I didn't really know this about him when I was talking to him. He was talking to me about a project he was working on. As we were talking, neither of us really knew what this mentorship was supposed to look like, It was kind of just sort of an awkward conversation at first, and but we really got along with each other. And he started talking about music that he was working on, and I told him I wanted to listen to it. And he had mentioned that they had been having a hard time finding a vocalist. And obviously, I threw my hat into that ring, not knowing where it was going to go. And so we worked on a song, and it turned out really cool. I was really happy with it. I took some of his vocal ideas, added new ones, added some lyrics, and it was a really easy process to work with him. And he's just a really wonderful, creative person. And after that, he called me one day, and he's like, "So I showed this to Alex, and I didn't really know who he was talking about at first. And he's like, you know who Alex Lifeson is, right? And from Rush. And he told me the whole story. And then, of course, like, my heart drops. I'm like, oh my God. And I got so excited after that phone call. I still remember that feeling. Like, he told me Alex likes the song. He wants to play on it. He wants to play on the whole collaboration. And
Can you just die now? I mean,
I know,
this is
right?
I've done it. Okay.
This is it. This is it. It felt like that. It was just a magical moment. And then Alex emailed me later that week, because he liked my voice so much, he wanted me to also sing on a different song that he was working on.
Wow.
And he like asked Andy, he's like, "Can I do that? Is she yours?" Like,
right.
I was this like thing, you know? It was really weird. It was great though to be regarded as this like special thing. You know? Like you're fined, I guess. I mean, that's the thing.
So that's happening. You haven't done that yet.
No, I did that.
Okay.
So that was with, I don't know if you know who Marco Miniman is, but he's a really famous drummer in the progressive rock world.
Okay.
And he was doing a song with Alex, and they also needed a vocalist for it. So I sang on that, and it's like this 8-minute long, really interesting piece. It's probably the most difficult thing I've ever added vocals to because it's so complicated.
Right.
And there's so many changes happening, and trying to find vocal harmonies and layers and things that fit with everything that was going on was really challenging. But it was really rewarding, and it turned out amazing. Mark was on tour right now, and they released it as this exclusive record that they're selling at the shows right now. And so I just got to go to one of those shows. I got my record, hung out with Marco, and that was just amazing. And then the EP that I'm working on with Andy and Alex, we just finished the last master, so we're really close to releasing that. And then I went to Canada to record some vocals for that. I went to Toronto and met Alex there.
When was this?
Not that long ago. It was like, January, the beginning of this year.
Yeah. Okay, that's really very cool. All right, so you're doing all these things. You're entering contests. You're building a resume, really.
Yeah.
And then suddenly this happens, and you I guess as an artist, you have to say, okay, is this the break? Is this the thing? Is this the path that you walk down aggressively to then take advantage of that and move in this way? And then you got to come to Huntsville, Alabama, and talk about this Moon song which is great in its own right. But now you have like lots of avenues to explore. How do you navigate that? I mean, how do you do that?
It's definitely challenging. This whole year I've just been trying to say yes to as many things as possible. And I want to do everything. I want to play all the instruments. I want to be able to record and engineer and produce someday. And I want to write all the songs and all the genres and collaborate with all the people. And it's definitely, I've been trying to learn how to prioritize things better, because I do get excited about everything and wanting to do everything. And there are certain things that I have to say, okay, no, this is more important, and I have to do this first, and then this is more important, and before I can do all these other things. But I see the potential in everything, you know, and it's hard for me to really prioritize things sometimes. And obviously, like, the EP with Alex was a huge priority. That was like, okay, this is like exciting, and this is like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna get this done. And that's been probably one of my biggest priorities this past year. And my own album is my other big priority right now. And then if there's opportunities that arise, like that New York trip was a big thing that was like, okay, we're gonna do this. You know, we move everything around to make it work. And but it's definitely a challenge to try to juggle all of the different potential avenues, because in the music industry there's no clear-cut path.
Right.
There's all these different options, and you know, a few of them might lead you to where you want to go, but you don't know, and you just guess and you go. And
so saying yes to a lot of things, has it allowed you to begin to build, okay, this is what I'm good at, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, I do want to perform, I don't want to perform, I don't want to be a 100% recording artist, or I do, or I want to write songs for other people, or like, have you begun to kind of make those decisions?
Definitely. And I think one of those, because I also want to act, and I have on the side kind of been pursuing a career as an actor as well, and I've definitely, you know, a while ago had to make that choice too, and between which was more important, music or acting, and music is definitely more important to me. And with acting now, it's like, okay, do I actually like the role? Yeah. I'm not just going for whatever role I can possibly go for, because there's a lot of really bad roles out there, especially for young girls or young women. There's just a lot of like very overly sexualized, overly stupid, just damsel roles all over the place. And I did do that once. I'm probably not going to do it again. Yeah. You know. But it's easy because I do have music, and I have this higher priority to be able to say, okay, no, I know what I want now from acting. Sorry, I have to cough.
Cough.
Okay, I'm good now. And as far as music goes, I've definitely been able to prioritize which shows are worth it to me and which ones aren't. Like, I've done a lot of, there's been times where I've driven miles and miles and miles for a show that was to like one person, and then I come back from that and I'm like, why did I do that? That was such a huge waste of time and energy and just exhaustion. And now that I've done that enough times to know, okay, this looks like it's going this direction, and I probably should say no to this show. Or opening for like a metal band. I did that once, and it's just such a terrible match. And I go into it, and I'm like, why am I here? This is so, this makes no sense.
But there's a feeling, I think, with young people that get into the arts in general, and music just happens to be our subject, but that they feel like that that the industry is for them to be a slave to, really. That you can't call your own shots until you've paid your dues and you're well into your career. So you're going to say yes to everything, and if you want to open for a metal band, then by God, you go die on that sword, because that's part of growing your career. You are clearly much more further along in your career than the average person, I think, at your age, and so you can call your own shots. Is that because the way the music industry is run in this day and age, or is that just because you've made the decision consciously to say, I'm not just going to just do whatever anybody asks me to because I want to play in front of people or whatever?
It's really hard. It's still really hard for me to say no to things. Even if I know that it's not rewarding for me, I think there's just this expectation for musicians to, I think in general, people see music as something that is for them. It is something we consume as people. We consume entertainment and media and music. And then on top of that, I think there's this social expectation for young women to be very pleasing to people, to be submissive, to say yes to everything. It's considered rude to say no. And so it's definitely been something that's been very challenging for me. Every time I say no to something, I feel extremely bad. Even now. It's hard.
You're answering my question, and what I want to add to that is, you do not have this air of desperation that when you go to LA or you go to Nashville and walk into any restaurant, your server is probably going to be have the best voice you've ever heard in your life, but they have to pay their dues. They're desperate for anything. They will do anything for a record contract. So LA is full of those people, New York is full of those people, Nashville is full of those people. You do not seem to carry yourself like someone who has this desperation that I will do anything to create a name for myself.
Yeah. No,
and that's different. So explain to me why you're different that way.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you have a patience about you. Like you're patient.
I think so. Sometimes. There's definitely, I overthink. I think that's part of it. I overthink everything. So every decision I make, I think about it a million times over, about all the different outcomes and why I should say yes or should say no.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of my anxiety to me a lot, because I don't immediately say yes to things. I don't immediately say no. I think about it forever, and then I'll choose my answer.
Yeah. So here you are. You're in Huntsville. You're playing tonight at Listen Local 14. They skipped 13.
Oh.
They chose not to have a 13 because they thought it was going to be a disaster. So they just skipped
Unlucky.
it. Yeah, exactly. So Listen Local 14 is happening in just a little bit. You have to be at soundcheck in 31 minutes, and I'll make sure you get there. But so going back to this particular moment for you, like, and this is a local music thing. Like you're about to walk into a listening room. Have you been to Tangle String yet?
I did. I visited yesterday.
Such a cool
It's amazing.
space. 150 people max can fit in there. They sell out all the time. Local music, and I know you're Portland and this is Huntsville, and these are very different places. Explain to me what the local music scene in Portland has done to take you from where you were to where you are.
Portland and Seattle, honestly, have had a lot more opportunities for me. I lived in Montana for a while, and that's actually where I started. And I was just playing bars and coffee shops there. And then as soon as I moved, there's so many more avenues to play music in Portland. There's festivals all the time, locally and nearby. In Seattle, there's opportunities for young musicians, especially. They're trying to help people grow as musicians. And so being in the Northwest and being in bigger cities has definitely helped me find more opportunities to kind of step up that ladder, and it's been really amazing.
Are there people that, You have fans, people that come to see you locally that will wait for you to show up and you see the same faces over and over again. I mean, I assume that's the case. Yeah, that's growing here, and I think anybody who's seeing this and is has been in Huntsville for any period of time is that we're looking at the Portlands and the Seattles and you mentioned Austin. I think Heidi may have mentioned Austin on the way over here. We're looking to those as like our big brothers in terms of what a local music scene can be and to nurture someone like yourself. I mean, I think it's great that you came from Portland to be here. We want to raise people like you to then go out and do the stuff that you're doing as well. And so we're trying to find that magic combination of what makes a local music scene not only thrive, but to create and produce and to distribute. And so Portland has distributed you to us, which is great.
Right.
We want to do the same thing, return the favor. So I'm curious about that scene and about what aspect of that scene really kind of pushed you.
I think there's honestly things that the Portland music scene could learn from this music scene too. I think what's nice about this is that Listen Local Huntsville and these intimate gatherings where people are really showing up, there's more of a demand for it here. I think Portland's very oversaturated.
Yeah.
There's music everywhere all the time.
So too many options, you think?
Too many options, and I think that there's the scene is more weighted towards hip hop and soul and funk rather than singer-songwriters. So what I do value about coming here is that I think singer-songwriters are a little bit more valued and appreciated just as far as aesthetically and what people are looking for in music.
Right.
I wish there was a Listen Local Huntsville in Portland.
Yeah.
I wish there was that community of people that was curating intimate events. The only place I've really been able to find that is through So Far Sounds, which they curate sort of house concerts, which is really great. But I wish there was more of a group that was putting an emphasis on singer-songwriters, and maybe there is, and I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
Because it is a pretty big scene and a pretty big community. But
it's a very natural. I mean, what I love about Listen Local is it's a very natural and a very stripped down and a very open and honest kind of presentation. It's not overly produced, and it's a very one-to-one relationship. I mean, really, there are moments, and I'll be there tonight, where it really does feel like that you're within feet of somebody who put their heart and soul into this song, and it's really three chords and the truth. I mean, I say that a lot on this podcast. It's like, it's really not overproduced. We get a lot of this bleed over from Nashville, which it's a money-making thing, and it's this machine that creates the Taylor Swifts of the world. Nothing against that, because it's very successful and it has its audiences. But when you can put somebody on a stage with a guitar or a piano or whatever, a single instrument, and the same feeling comes across, which is what music does to us universally, there's something really special about that. And anyway, so John and Alan and Megan have been your handlers here.
yes.
You had a crazy whirlwind day yesterday. Today is really focused on the show tonight. Again, by the time people watch this would have already taken place. But the rest of the week, tell me kind of what you're doing in Huntsville. What are your things?
Yes, we're doing a little bit more media stuff tomorrow, and then we have the Fame Studios session.
You're going to record over in the Shoals at Fame Studios. Yeah.
And I'm recording the song that I wrote for the contest, and I'm super excited about it. I sort of pre-recorded ideas that I have for it, because I know we only get 3 hours, and I want to make sure I kind of have a blueprint.
Right.
And I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be super cool, and I want a kid to be able to listen to the song and feel like they're going to the moon, like they're launching in a rocket. And
Does this song
exhilarating?
Does this song have legs?
What?
Does this song have a life beyond this contest?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. That's really exciting. I mean, I think it does. But I mean, you enter a contest and you do this thing and you check this box, then this thing. But you're about to record it at one of the most famous studios in the country. And I would think that this would be something you could have, and it would be something that you could promote and push beyond just this.
My goal is to make it something that is appealing to people on the radio. And after pitching songs to people at radio stations, I kind of have more of an idea of what people are looking for. And I think this song really does have a lot of potential radio appeal. And so my goal is to make a song that people really enjoy listening to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always my goal anyway. But
so we've got you in Huntsville. We're just gonna make you do all the stuff that we have to do all the time. You're gonna have a great time. And I really thank you for being here. And what I really want to know is the last thing what I want to finish with is how can the people who will most definitely fall in love with your music tonight, how can they follow you? How can they see you your Spotify stuff? Like, where can people like consume your art?
Everywhere. As long as you can spell my name, I'm easy to find.
All right, let's spell your name for everyone.
Yeah, MaiahWynne. It's kind of a weird.
A lot of curveballs in there.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, there are a lot of curveballs. But if you can spell it, I'm really easy to find. And I'm on YouTube, Spotify. The best place to support musicians is either on iTunes, although I heard they're getting rid of iTunes.
Yes, right.
Which is a bummer.
Apple Music now.
Yeah. So now I think it's switched to like Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow people on Bandcamp and actually purchase the music, that's the best way you can support musicians now, because streaming percentages are so small.
Right.
The artist doesn't really get much out of it
Right.
unless they're in the millions.
Right.
Of streams. But if you go and if you like it and you order an album online,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and buy the actual physical CD or record or purchase the digital download,
Yeah.
those are the best ways to support an artist right now, I think.
Well, that's very cool, and you're amazing for being able to like spend some time with me. I really, really appreciate it. I realize this is probably because like Alan owes me dozens of favors that you're sitting here. I really appreciate you being here and coming to Huntsville and just putting in the effort. I mean, for people who are songwriters and people who know what it takes to produce art, especially under a situation like this where you have a deadline, to have won the contest is no small thing. And then the follow-up, being here and being so gracious to give your time, is something else altogether. So again, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Maiah Wynne, she's like, you ever get the feeling that you're talking to somebody who's a lot more important than you are, and that someday they're going to be someplace and you're going to look back on this and show your grandkids? Like, that's 32 minutes just took place, and that's what's going to happen right here. Thank you so much. Up top, you're the best.
Yeah.
See you tonight.